Hello YouTube, hello, and it's been a while, I know, but we had some Season 3 news. I was kind of waiting for this, I was excited for this, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were as well. And today we're actually gonna go pretty in-depth with this trailer. You know what I mean in-depth, I'm actually gonna be thinking about it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, maybe good, maybe bad. Actually in-depth, and what in-depth actually should mean. We're gonna be assuming some stuff, speculating some stuff, but this is what you would call an educated guess. There's also going to be some stuff that people don't really talk about too much, at least I haven't seen them talk about. And I'm going to be going over it at the start, basically. I won't be, saving it for last. Let's go instantly. We don't need to hesitate. Let's go. So Season 3 begins. Now this is one of the things that I don't see a lot of people pay attention to. I'm going to try to make this video a little bit faster than normal, but I think it's still going to be long because it's going to take a while to explain everything. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the 6 screens. The screens I want you guys to pay attention to first is gonna be the Jun one in the bottom middle. So the corner ones, I didn't really see too much to speculate too much about it, but the Jun one in the middle bottom, you could speculate some stuff, but this is me coping a little bit, right? The second one though, there are 2 things that's important in the 6 screens. The second one is basically confirmed from what it looks like anyway, but the Jun one, I'm speculating a little bit. So pay attention to the Jun one right now. Okay, so that was a heat burst after, let's say, a tornado, right? It was a tornado into a heat burst, most likely that's what it was. And let me just show you guys how it looks like right now. Literally show you guys what it looks like right now. So let's go to June. I won't be editing too much content. I would usually edit. The reason behind that is because I don't really like that kind of footage, because I don't think it gives a lot of information, because it actually not stops, but leaves out a lot of it. So let me just demonstrate something similar. Let's say tornado, heat burst, right? And I want you guys to compare this heat burst to whatever what was shown there. And as I said, it's not confirmed, I'm copying a little bit, but from what it looks like, the heat burst was a little bit different. Let me just go back again just so everyone can see. The animation was very, very different. You can see Kaz kind of turning around. It was basically a different animation from what it looks like. I'm coping, and I'm hoping that heat burst and combos are actually changed. Hopefully they are. Now the second thing, right, that's one. Second thing, as I want you guys to pay attention to the middle screen at the top when Asuka was doing a heat smash, right? There you go, Asuka did a heat smash, right? And now, why is that important? Why is Asuka doing a heat smash is that important? No one cares about Asuka, we all know that. But I want you guys to pay attention to this now. Let me go to Asuka. Because the heat smash right now looks very different from what was shown in the trailer. Which means everything in here in these 6 screens is actually already some changes. Some Season 3 changes. I couldn't assume much on the other 4 screens, but these 2 I could. Now this, I'm gonna do Asuka heat smash on screen, right? And record this. So pay attention to Kazuya right now and how he is on the floor. Now the boxes are blocking some of it, but basically the head is towards Asuka and the chest is upwards. You can still tell even though the boxes are blocking it. But that's how Kazuya is positioned after the heat smash, which is a pretty bad Oki situation because, bad positioning, basically. But now, if you pay attention to the screen that was shown in the trailer, let me go back there. Doing the heat smash, Jin actually is headed towards, but the chest is downwards, right? It's flipped over. Even though the head is still towards, it's flipped over. So this is different. This basically means that the Oki after this heat smash was somewhat nerfed. Most likely somewhat nerfed. And if you ask me, I'm coping a little bit here as well, is that you can hold it back here as a gym player or whatever character you play whenever you get hit by Asuka's heat smash, and you can actually stand up. Just roll back. Like, there are some situations when you can just roll back in this kind of Oki situation as well. So I'm hoping that was gonna be the case, which is a positive change. I don't know why they didn't show that in one of the, segments afterwards, like they were showing Anna, for example. I'm gonna show that as well. But yeah, this is actually very positive and very, very good if that is what I think it is. Now let's continue to the actual things that they did show outside of this little, I don't know, screens. So the first thing is they showed Anna. So that was stance 4 into full crouch down forward 2, and they showed that now that is steppable, right? So this is also important, it's steppable, not walkable. Now I'm gonna demonstrate why that is a very, very important distinction. Very, very important actually, because a lot of people think this change is more than what they think they are. Now let me pick Anna and showcase this exact situation. And one of the reasons I also hate editing is because you will edit, let's say, this situation and portray these two particularly. Let me just do this. Same situation, right? Exactly the same. And you'll show that you cannot sidestep this, or you can't sidestep it right now. You can't do it. But they will not show is that you can actually still sidewalk it. And some people, maybe Lily can sidestep it, right? But this is still walkable. But this is not the only thing walkable. All of the mids I already checked is also walkable. The mid down forward 1, the mid while standing 2, all of the mix-ups for this, like the actual big mix-ups, all of them are walkable. This already is in the game, but it's not steppable. It's gonna be slightly better since you can sidestep into a block now, but it's not as big of a nerf that they think it is. What actually would have been a good nerf is making this move right here, which is -12 with pushback, then you can't punish, actually have 0 pushback and making it maybe more minus, or make it less tracking, or make it not wall splat. Millions of things that they could have changed about this move, not the full crouch down forward 2, that would have been way better than what they showed, because what they showed is actually already a thing, but via a sidewalk. Even Kazuya can do it. I'm not a female character like Nina, even Kazuya can do it. So it's not that big of a change. Let's go next. So this nerf, underwhelming, basically. And this is one nerf out of 2 that they showed. The next one is the nerf, everything else is a buff. Which I'm really disappointed that they showed so many buffs and showed the nerfs, which basically didn't even matter that much outside of the 1. Okay, and the 1 is the next one. Let me continue. It's this one, Asuka down 1+2. So after Asuka down 1+2, normally forward 2 is guaranteed, but it's not guaranteed anymore. From what it looks like, anyway, right? And this is a great change. I have nothing bad to say about this. It's not underwhelming. It's an amazing change. If something is good, I say it's good. If something is bad, I'll say it's bad. I don't have Bandai watching me, right? Even if they are, I'm still gonna say it. I don't care. So this is a great change. Great change. Unless they make down 1+2 -14 or -13, which I assume they're gonna do. Or they're gonna give Asuka a new low, which also I assume they might do. If they compensate this nerf with a buff, this is actually horrible. If they don't compensate this nerf with a buff, this is great. But from what we know of them, they will compensate it. But hopefully I'm wrong. I really hope I am wrong. Now let's continue. There's not much to talk about this. It's pretty simple. After that 1+2, doesn't get the guaranteed forward 2 anymore. Pretty simple. Continue. So Leroy, this is important. After sidestep to +4, now can do a back 1+2. Which is not a stance move normally, it's a normal neutral move. So this might mean that it's not a neutral move anymore, but I highly doubt it. What I guess is that they just added this back 1+2 to the hermit stance. I think back 1+2 is still gonna be in the neutral stance. I'm just guessing here, but this is most likely the case. So what does this mean? Let's just go in depth like I talked about in the start. So Leroy, right? So Leroy's sidestep 3+4 is a pretty good move because it can kinda get mixed up with sidestep 1+2 as well. Sidestep 1+2, sidestep 3+4, pretty good moves. But now let's actually talk about this change and let's talk about how this changes the situation. That's what's important, right? You can't just say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But the situation is what's important. You have to actually show it. Now let me show it. So I'll show it to you. So sidestep 3+4 normally Plus 8 on hit, doesn't really matter, right? On block situation. On block situation, this is plus 3, goes in the Hermit. You don't have the choice to either go or not go. You will always go into Hermit stance. This is the move that they showed in the trailer, and after this, they did back 1 plus 2, which right now, it does not exist. You cannot do it. But back 1 plus 2, we already know this move. This move is a 12 frame counter hit launcher, which they also showed in the trailer that it is a counter hit launcher. I didn't go to that part of it. Yeah, it is still a counter hit launcher, basically. Right? And why is this important? This is important because this is a plus 3 move, which means that back 1 plus 2 is going to be a frame trap unless you either punch parry or power crush. Right? This is going to be a frame trap, which means that you can't press anything, which, you know, is fine and dandy. And I think this move would be maybe even on the okay side if the Heat version of back 1 plus 2 didn't exist. Now, if they change the Heat version of back 1 plus 2, maybe I'm fine with it. But right now, the Heat version of back 1 plus 2 is, to be honest, kind of more on the broken side. Because, let me just demonstrate it, right? Let me go to the wall, because this move is usually going to be used at the wall, so the propulsor won't be used at the neutral too much. Maybe sometimes, but not too much. So this at the wall is where it's going to be used mostly, and where it's going to be actually risky, right? So, that, and I also want to demonstrate the Heat version. There we go. So something like sidestep 3+4 is plus 3, right? Goes in the Hermit. And we can actually see this plus 3 situation via another move, which is a standing 3. Standing 3 is also plus 3, right? This is also plus 3 while also being very close to the opponent. It's exactly the same as sidestep 3+4, very close to the opponent and plus 3. It's not in stance, but we want to see back 1 plus 2 properties here, right? That's what we want to see. So let me just showcase this. This into that. This is going to be very similar if the frames of a sidestep 3+4 remain the same. This is important to talk about because I think they're going to buff it. But for now, let's assume the frames is still plus 3. So you try to sidestep this, it's steppable one way at the wall, right? That's why I'm testing it. But it's not steppable the other way. And you are going to get wall splatted, right? So this is going to force you to sidestep one side, or let's say power crush or parry, if you want to beat this, because this also on block, you can also just block it and take your turn, obviously. It is safe. It is a safe move. But what I assume they're gonna do is they're gonna increase the frames inside the 3+4 into a stance. I assume with very, very high certainty that they're gonna increase the frames on it. The reason why I think they're gonna increase the frames is because they want this move to actually beat power crushes. I have a feeling that this move is going to be an anti-power crush tool, just like the 4. Because right now, if you use a power crush, you will beat everything but the lows. And they see a problem with that. And 100% they will increase the plus frames on size of 3+4 to at least plus 6. So this will beat power crushes and actually counter hit it. That's my assumption. Speculation, educational guess, I don't know what you want to call it. But I'm guessing that that's what they're gonna do, at least plus 6. And why this is important, the plus 6, is because back 1 plus 2, as I said, is gonna counter hit power crushes. Unless the 6 frame power crush. Which some of them exist, but most of them are not. And why is that important? That's important because you're gonna be forced to sidestep now because of that singular interaction. Unless you wanna block the plus 9, which, you know, you could. But you're either blocking the -9, +9 for you, or you're sidestepping it if you want to actually do something about it. And this is one of those Tekken 8 situations when the opponent forces you to react in a certain way while you kind of don't want to, right? You're really forced to react in a certain way. You can't duck there because it's a mid, let's say. You can't press there because it's gonna literally kill you. By the way, if you press, you can't press. You're gonna die if you press. Not even a power crush if they do buff it to plus 6, which hopefully they didn't. They don't. But the other thing is that he also has a 1+2 option from stance, which will also catch you if you mash anything other than the power crush. So let me just showcase that. Right? So sidestep 3+4 into 1+2. This is a good check that Leroy players have right now, that you can actually sidestep or sidewalk. To be precise, you can't really step it because too many hits. Right? If you step it, the second hit or the millions of other hits, it also will catch you, but you can sidewalk it. So why I think that they're going to actually increase the frames is because you can beat this with the power crush, and not only a power crush, you can also beat this with a jab. In this particular situation, right? You can just jab here. Or power crush here. But power crush will beat both this, and will also beat the back 1+2. That's why I'm assuming that they're going to increase the frames. But not only that, you can also beat the 4 option, which will catch your sidestep. So let me actually showcase the 4 option on the wall as well. This into 4 1+2. So at the wall, this will also wall splat you, obviously. And this will also stop you from stepping. So the stepping option is going to get beaten by this if you want to step the back 1+2. This is going to be a mini mix-up if you do want to step it. If you don't want to step it, you have to block this, right? So now you're forced, if you want to stay safe, to stay still, not duck, and don't move. Stay. I mean, I already said stay still. You shouldn't duck and you don't move. Back 1+2 is going to wall splat you if you duck instantly. There's also a hell sweep you have to worry about, so you kind of have to duck. There's other loads you have to worry about, like a low mid. It's not too much, but Leroy basically can pressure you for a frame for sidestep 2+4. If I am correct with these speculations. If I am correct. Hopefully I'm wrong. I really want to be wrong. And yeah, back 1+2. I also said that it's going to kill you if you press, right? Sometimes you will be forced to press here. Maybe you will feel like pressing. But he will literally kill you. Unless they change the heat version of it, which I really hope they will, which I doubt they will, but I just hope they will. Now let me showcase why you're just gonna die. Why is because that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. So that's a lot of damage. I think that was 107 without heat. If he still had heat, that would be even more damage. Maybe more than 110. You're gonna die if you press there, right? So that's why you kind of want to force them to be afraid of the sidestep into a launch, right? Because you make the swift. But this mind game will ensure that you stand still most of the time. Let me tell you that. Because the 4 option will be pretty scary, and most likely 1+2 is also going to track you pretty damn well if they increase the frames on it. Which hopefully I'm wrong. So, yeah. As I said, in depth, right? I'm not lying. Now, the situation here can be okay depending on how much other changes they're gonna do. But right now, this is all the information we have. So, this is what we get. Now, let's go next. Let's go next. So, this next one that they showed, I actually didn't understand it when I was seeing it live, is that after these 2 hits, that move doesn't hit right now. It doesn't hit and doesn't tornado. Well, obviously it doesn't tornado if it doesn't hit. So they increased the hitbox on this slightly to the lower side to make this hit and make it tornado. So it's a combo buff. So this buff actually, I don't mind at all. It's a combo buff. Maybe it can be strong, but it's... And maybe it even will be a neutral buff because of the hitbox increase. But so far, I don't see much of a problem with this. I won't showcase too much either because, as I said, it's a combo buff from what it looks like. Let's go next. So this, first let's pay attention to Reina. So Reina did a down to 1+2 into Unsoku stance, I think that's what it's called, into a new high. Now let me actually, before I talk about Reina, the thing about the Victor one, that's on the right side, I can't really demonstrate too much or the mind games too much about because I don't understand the move that well. Because they showed pure EI stance and it looks like it was some kind of charge up move. But I don't really understand this too much, so I won't be talking about this in depth. I can't talk about everything in depth, obviously, right? I have my limits too. But the Reina one I can actually talk about. So let's talk about the Reina one. Now, Reina, after down to 1+2, the situation that we have right now is really busted. Really, really busted. I really hope, and I will tell you guys my assumption to this as well, but that they will actually nerf down to 1+2 in one way, but buff it in the other way, just like they usually do, right? Because that's what they always do. They don't want nerfs. They want the nerf and the buff. So what they're gonna do is right now this interaction looks like this. Let me just showcase this. So down to 1+2, Unsoku 4. Right now, this interaction, I did not record. is something that you can't do much about when it comes to movement. You actually... I messed up. There we go. You cannot step this. As a normal character, Lily can actually step this. But I mean you're a normal character, not Lily. You're not privileged. Right? Or maybe Elisa or some other waifus. So right now you cannot do anything about this other than power crushing it, or maybe if you can parry it. Right? You can't do anything about that. Unless your name is Lily. Or maybe some other characters, I'm not too sure. But yeah, right now that's the situation. And this move is really, really strong because this is also a wall splat and it's +7. Right? Unless I'm wrong about the +7. Maybe it's 4 plus. Yeah, I think with the stance +7, normally it's +10. So this is super, super strong. And I didn't even mention that it's also a wall splat. Right, let me just show the on-hit property. There we go, 45 damage and into a wall splat. So this is super, super strong. Super strong and more on the broken side. They should have nerfed this. Right, not given Reina a new option. But they did. Now why did they do that? This is the in-depth part about this. Why they did that is because I think they're gonna nerf the frames on this. Right, they nerfed the frames on this. It's not as much plus anymore in Heat, obviously. And they're gonna make this force steppable. To everyone, not just Lily. Everyone's gonna be steppable. Right? And since this is steppable, they're like, this is steppable now. We have to give her a homing high. Because that's what they do. So the homing high is a fast homing high that most likely will also give a guaranteed heat engager at least on counter hit. Maybe even a normal hit. I wouldn't be surprised. And most likely it's plus. That's my assumptions. Right? But this is the in-depth part about it, as I already said. This is why I think they gave this high to Reina, because they nerfed the frames on this, which makes the force steppable, which makes it a gap in the offense. So now they gave her a homing high to, you know, cover it. Because that's what they do. That's their logic behind all of this. Amazing logic, by the way. That was the same logic behind season 2. Okay, let's not do too much though. Let's continue. Let's continue. As I said about Victor, I won't talk about this too much. But they also showed the counter property of this as well on the Reina. And as I said, from what it looks like, it will give at least a guaranteed heat engager. At least. Like a down forward 1-2 or maybe something else. Doesn't matter, right? It's going to give something guaranteed, and most likely it's at least going to wall splat. On counter hit. I'm not too sure about the normal hit property because they didn't show it. But I'm pretty certain that it's going to be plus. 100%. Okay, let's continue. So, first let's pay attention to the top screen. In the top screen, we're seeing Jin do down forward 2 into a new mid. That kind of looks like a Devil Jin 1+2. I mean, Jin, Devil Jin, same guy, so stealing each other's moves. But let me just make an assumption here. I won't show it too much. I can't really go too in depth about that, to be honest, because there's not much to talk about. But I think this down forward 2 with that new extension with the claws is gonna be safe. Most likely it's gonna be safe. My assumption. Because we already have a down forward 2 extension, down forward 2-3 or down forward 2-4, I don't remember which one. But the kick, which is unsafe, it's -12. And you can't really step it or do anything about it, but it's unsafe. But if I had to guess, I think this one is gonna be safe. And from what it looks like, it's gonna wall splat as well. And most likely it's also gonna be normal hit. But this is all assumptions. As I said, I won't go too in depth about it because too many assumptions as well. But yeah. Now let's pay attention to Lars at the bottom left. So that was from full crouch down 1+2, down 1+2, which is the double low. That was the second hit hitting Elisa, and then he did. People told me this was a tag 2 move, 1+2, neutral 1+2. I've never played it. So you guys who have played Tag 2, or maybe you can listen to someone else who have played Tag 2, they will make better assumptions than I do. But from what it looks like, it's mid that will cover at least one side of step. At least one side. And it looks like it's gonna be safe, most likely, anyway. But as I said, I can't make too much assumptions about this. But that's the idea I have, anyway, the opinion I have about the move. But as I said, I haven't played Tag 2, I don't know what this move is, but yeah. But for Kazuya in the bottom right, let's go to Kaz. That was a 1-1-2 punish into a laser extension. By the way, classic Mishima punish there. Launch punishable, but punching 1-1-2. they know what they're doing. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, 112 now goes into a laser just like 442 does. And a lot of people are saying that this is gonna wall splat. But for what I think and what it looks like, this is just gonna be a 442 laser animation. Because 442 laser also does the same kind of wall splat. Let me demonstrate this. There's not much to actually talk about here. To talk about anything in depth. But laser 442 does exactly the same kind of wall splat. But you don't get anything guaranteed here. I can't down forward 2, I can't even down 4, I don't get anything here. And this is very, very similar. See, that was not a combo, it doesn't work. It looks like it's very, very similar, and from what we know, Tekken developers and Tekken in general really like reusing the same moves. They really like reusing a lot of same stuff. Which 442 into laser is gonna be reused for 112 into laser. The damage is gonna be higher than what we have right now. So right now the heat 112 into forward does 33 damage. And from what we know, 442 does 40. So from 20 442, so 442 by its own, this does 20. That does 20. But the laser gives 20 plus, which means this is gonna give 20 plus, which most likely is gonna be 45 damage. Which, you know, pretty good damage. I can't say this is bad, but it's not gonna wall splat. At least I hope it won't. I really don't want it to wall splat. That's gonna be BS. Hot 10 frame wall splat from far away like that, BS. Maybe situationally can be okay, but even then, BS. I don't want that to happen. But it's not that big of a buff in my opinion, but it can be decent. It's not too big of a deal. I don't want big buffs anyway, so that's fine. A-okay for me. But the last one that they showed, which is the Lee, now this is a little bit problematic. So let me showcase this so everyone sees that as well. So the Lee was shown to go into Hitman after the slide. And then he did the Hitman too. Now why is this problematic? By the way, that's everything that they showed. That's it. So let's go to the game. Let's talk about the Lee change as well. Let's talk about the Lee change. Wait 1 second. Okay. So let's go to Lee, and I'm gonna explain why this is problematic. A lot of people might think this is okay because I don't know. They might say that Hitman is, you know, not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. I don't know what they're smoking. It is a big deal. So while running 3-4, for example, also goes into Hitman. I just want to mention this, right? While running 3-4 is a +3 move that has the choice to go into Hitman, like this, which gives 3 more frames. We actually have another example of this. 1 + 2 - 1 goes into Hitman, becomes +2. So if you go into Hitman, you actually gain 3 frames. That's the rule of Hitman transitions so far with Lee. So right now, while we have a slide, is +5. It doesn't matter if you blue spark it like this, by the way, it's the same. So it is +5. So assuming that it stays +5, this Hitman transition that they showed is gonna be at least +8, unless they nerf this. So my assumption, I have 2 assumptions. One assumption is that it's either gonna stay the same with Hitman becoming +8, that's one, or it's gonna get nerfed to +3 while Hitman becoming +6, just exactly like while running 3-4, because this is exactly the same, +3 into +6. So we're gonna have the same kind of mix-up as this one, or better with the +8, right? And the +8 is most likely not gonna happen because we actually have +6 Hitman even after 1 + 2, just like this one. So most likely it's gonna be the nerf to +3 and then it's gonna be +6. Why do I think that? The reason why I think that is because this mix-up already exists, right? This one. And they just want to use the same kind of mix-up strategy as this one because they, I don't know, they think that they have it balanced right now, right? They think it's balanced, so that's why they want to do it. That's why I think that's most likely that's what's going to happen, but I also have my reasons to think that they're going to actually make it +8. The reason I think they're going to make it +8, let's say, is because they want the mix-up after the slide to be slightly stronger because of the risk Lee players take to do it. Which, to be honest, the risk is not that much if the Lee player does something like that, right? When it becomes +8 normally, and suddenly it can become, I don't know, +11 in Hitman. If they do what I think they're gonna do. But most likely they're gonna nerf it. +3, +6, which is a buff, by the way. That's not a nerf. they might think it's a nerf, but it's a buff. You have to assume it's +6. You won't never assume it's +3. So yeah, that's gonna be the mind game. If you want to see the mind game and what it's gonna look like, it's gonna be very similar to Wild Running 3-4 and Hitman, which is that the 1 is gonna check literally everything. You can't power crush this, you can't sidestep this, you can do anything. 1+2 is also literally gonna check everything except punch parries or power crushes. This is also gonna check everything, and you're gonna be mixed up to infinity if you don't do anything. Let's say you don't sidestep or don't press or whatever. You're just gonna be, you know, slide Hitman, let's say Hitman, slide Hitman, 1 rank 3-4, Hitman, slide again, Hitman, and now you're gonna get mixed up, and the elite player just has to guess when you're gonna start pressing. So they're either gonna press 1 or 1+2, or if they feel like it, which this is also gonna be an option, by the way, they're just not gonna go into stance and maybe press while standing 2, while standing 3, while standing 4, or just slide again. Because they have the option to not go into stance. There's no way that this will force a stance. It won't happen. I think anyone would assume that this will not happen. It's just going to be a button that they can press to go into Hitman. So yeah, this is going to be a very cancer situation. Very, very cancer situation, because while rank 3-4, we already have that situation. The while rank 3-4 into Hitman. It's going to be the same or worse, as I said. It's not going to be better, like frame wise. It's not gonna be like, oh, +3 or +5 or whatever, right? It's not gonna be like that. The reason why I think that this is not gonna be +5 into Hitman, still +5 I mean, is because 1+2 will actually lose to a jab and it will trade. That's why I think that it will actually lose to a down jab. If you down jab here, will also win against the high check, and they don't want that. Obviously, they don't want option selects like that makes the lead player think a little bit. They want easy options, because that's what Tekken 8 is. But so that's why I think that this is gonna be what I'm saying it's gonna be, and yeah, I think that's it. So overall thoughts. Let me just wrap it up, because I already talked about each one more or less in depth. Anyway, I tried to, and to wrap it up, I'm pretty disappointed in this trailer. The main reason I'm so disappointed is because they showed a lot of buffs and only one good nerf. And the other nerf they showed was basically, I already explained it about Anna, it's basically nothing. The characters, I'm not going to talk about the characters, I don't mind them too much. It's not Marduk or Lei, that's what, I'm happy about that. It's not Marduk or Lei. I'm sad that it's not Miguel, but it's not Marduk or Lei. So, characters, I don't really care too much, but from what it looks like, even though they said pretty words, back to basics, oh, focusing more, or more deliberate, whatever they said, they're words. Words don't matter. If you show something, that matters. What they showed so far was more options, more mix-ups, more stances, and more mind games, and more options that cover a lot of stuff, basically. Like that Reina move, that they most likely is a compensation buff. Most likely it's a compensation buff, by the way. And I'm like, I don't know, 90% sure about that. That's a compensation buff. I can't talk too much about the Victor one. I can't talk too much about the Lars one. The Kazuya one seems okay. It really matters on how it actually is gonna wall splatter or not. Most likely not. It's just gonna be reduced forward for 2 animation. But we'll see. The Jin one can be pretty damn strong depending on the properties of the move of the second one. Let's see if it's steppable, let's see if it's safe, let's see if it's normal hit, counter hit, whatever, right? Can't really talk about that. The things I did talk about is the Anna nerf. Not as big as people think, you can already sidewalk it, right? Basically nothing. Second one was the Leroy one. The Leroy one can be a pretty big deal, but depending on how they make it work, can be more on the okay side. It's still gonna be very strong, but can be more on the okay side if they nerf the heat version of back 1+2, because that's the big problem right now. That's broken. Right now it's broken. If they don't nerf it, it's gonna stay broken, and maybe gonna be even more broken because you can use it in stance now. Oh yeah, that's about Leroy. The next thing I talked about was Lee, pretty sure, right? And Reina. Reina, I explained, they just did a compensation buff with the homing high because they made it more linear because of the minus frames. Nerf on down to 1+2, most likely. Hopefully it won't wall splat anymore either, but I don't have that much faith in them. Next, Lee. I already explained this, don't want to talk too much, but we're gonna have the same mix-up situation after slide as we have after wild rank 3-4 hitman. Gonna be very similar. The only difference is that slide actually forces crouch instantly if they don't transition, and you know, how would we know if they transition or not? Obviously, we can't know as the defender. So they can just slide into slide and mixed up with the hitman, whatever they feel like, basically. So, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit on the rougher side when it comes to this. Other than that, at the start I talked about Jun. I was hoping that the Heat Burst got changed, and we saw that Asuka's Heat Smash actually did get changed a little bit. So maybe it's gonna be good, maybe, but those two, especially the Jun one, is a lot of coping. A lot of coping. That's why I'm so disappointed, by the way. If they showed any heat changes, let's say Heat Smashes not wall splitting anymore, even that little thing, I would be satisfied. Or let's say Heat Bursts are way more linear now, or let's say Heat Bursts have, not Heat Bursts, Heat Smashes have weaknesses, like you can parry them now, or anything heat related, right? Like anything. But they didn't show any of that, but instead they showed like 7 buffs and 2 nerfs, with one of them being basically not even a nerf. One good nerf we did saw was the Asuka down 1+2. But as I said, they're gonna give a compensation buff, make it -13 or something. So yeah, that's about it. By the way, YouTube, thank you for watching. Hopefully it was good enough analysis, because I don't really see a lot of people talk about this kind of stuff. And I just want you guys to know what these changes might actually mean, realistically speaking, by the way. Not just saying stuff or, you know, putting it back side by side and, you know, this is what it is. Which is, it can be good. That's very important to do as well, because people need to think by themselves. But here I am doing this as well, just so you guys understand a little bit better. I might be wrong. Let me know what you guys think. And thank you for watching again. And I'll see everyone next time. Till then.